still out there alive, or are you fearful of the worst case scenario here, that she won't be found alive?
Well, I'm certainly fearful of that. I think we all are. But it is we operate from a position that until we know she's out there, she's alive, and we're going to continue thinking that way until we find her.
The Pima County Sheriff said in his Thursday news conference that he fears the worst, that Nancy Guthrie is no longer alive, but he is holding out hope that she will be brought home safely to her family. So let's run through the latest information that we just learned, including what the sheriff said about the evidence and reports of a suspect. I'm going to get more into the alleged ransom notes sent to media outlets in just a moment, but the FBI said the note that the Guthrie family responded to in their video overnight, posted to Savannah Guthrie's social media, had a deadline of 5 p.m. Thursday. Presumably that's Mountain Time. Now, there was a second deadline in the alleged ransom note, but the FBI won't say when that deadline is. The agent did say that it is uncommon in a kidnapping case to not have any other communication at this point. Now, this is video that was posted by News Nation showing drops of blood in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. And the sheriff confirmed in his news conference that the blood belongs to Nancy Guthrie. This is on the front steps of her home. The sheriff also said that they have sent other pieces of DNA to a lab, and those pieces of evidence are still being analyzed. The sheriff would not go into details. He would not say whether more blood was found inside the house or on the property. The sheriff also brought up reports that there was forced entry into the home.
Play real money games powered by Pass Motor Racing exclusively at Hard Rock Bet to celebrate.
And he pushed back on that, but he didn't go deeper into how the suspect may have entered Nancy Guthrie's house.
Someone had mentioned there was forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all, whether it's forced entry or not forced entry. That is something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where anybody got that information.
The last time Nancy Guthrie was seen was at her family's home Saturday night. The sheriff said that Nancy took an Uber to her family's house in Tucson, Arizona. It was about 5:30 in the evening Saturday night. She was then driven back to her house. Now, here's a timeline that the sheriff put up on a screen during this news conference, laying out the last known whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie. The sheriff says that Nancy's garage door opened at 9:48 in the evening, and that's when she's being brought back home after dinner at her family's home in Tucson. Her daughter, Annie, lives in Tucson. Then the garage door closes at 9:50, just a couple of minutes later. So at that point, you assume Nancy is going to bed. The next activity is incredibly key in this timeline. Law enforcement says the next part of this timeline is at 1:47 in the morning.
Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So it detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video. But we're not giving up on that. 2:28. Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone.
So you have this roughly 45-minute time frame of where a suspect or suspects may have been in Nancy's house. They say that reports of cameras being shattered in the home, though, are incorrect. Now, then the sheriff goes on and he says that family members checked on Nancy just before noon on Sunday when she didn't show up for church. And then at 12:03 in the afternoon, a 911 call was made. Now, Wednesday night, law enforcement returned to Nancy Guthrie's home. And this is video per News Nation of law enforcement actually returning and putting crime scene tape back up. They had already processed Nancy Guthrie's house, but the sheriff says now that more members of law enforcement are involved, specifically federal members of law enforcement, Now they're helping with the case, and they needed to go back and look at more information. Now, he wouldn't say specifically what that would be. Now, the sheriff also confirmed that the car of Nancy's daughter, Annie, that has been seized. But the sheriff has passed that part up as just standard procedure of processing evidence. Now, the sheriff goes on to say that the reports that have been out there about a possible suspect, the term prime suspect has been out there, person of interest in this case. This is how the sheriff is responding to that.
Suspects. I know there's been a lot out there about suspects, and I want to be very clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there. We're not there yet.
Now, with that, the sheriff would not say whether they have ruled out anyone as a suspect in this case. So still staying very vague on that point. Now, media members also say that they saw members of law enforcement at Annie Guthrie's Tucson area home Wednesday night as well. And for the first time in a news conference, authorities addressed reports, alleged ransom letters being sent to local media outlets in Arizona, as well as some larger outlets, most notably TMZ.
Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family, and while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov.
Now, just before this news conference started, TMZ put a video out about the alleged ransom letter that they say they were emailed that they turned over to the FBI. And they say that the FBI had asked them not to disclose certain details of that ransom letter. They also said that the letter gave a specific deadline, actually multiple deadlines, but one of them, in their words, was looming. Now, this alleged ransom letter had a demand for a large amount of money to be paid in Bitcoin and to be sent to a Bitcoin address, which TMZ says they were able to confirm was a real Bitcoin address. But who sent it? At this point, we don't know. In the news conference, the FBI mentioned two details that the alleged letters.
Chime exists to help everyday Americans make it. When you get paid on your terms, your world opens up. And your people
included, and they're details that they are investigating. There's a mention in there of an Apple Watch and a floodlight. Now, in the emotional 4-minute video that was posted overnight on Savannah Guthrie's social media, where she's sitting there, obviously and understandably incredibly distraught. She has her sister Annie by her side, as well as her brother Cameron. In that message, you hear them talk about the possibility of artificial intelligence.
We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her.
So the FBI would not go into detail of whether there were specific images or voices that were included in this alleged ransom note that they're investigating. And they said they also did not craft the message that the Guthries put out last night. But in a surprising twist, investigators did say they arrested someone that they are labeling as an imposter who allegedly sent a fake ransom note. They say more information on this person is going to be released, but the FBI says that this person, the alleged ransom note or imposter note that they sent, this is not the note that TMZ allegedly received in those media outlets. So this is separate, and they do not believe this person is connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie at all. Just an